27F, need help processing something that happened during our recent vacation, but first, let me give some background. I met Harold, 30M, 3 years ago through mutual friends at a housewarming party. He was charming, funny, and seemed really genuine, exactly what I was looking for after being single for 2 years following a bad breakup. Our relationship started off amazing. Harold was attentive without being clingy, supportive of my career, I work in marketing, and got along great with my friends and family. Within 6 months, we were practically living together, and by our 1-year anniversary, we officially moved in. We even adopted a dog together, a golden retriever named Max. Harold works in IT and makes good money. We love traveling together and try to take at least 2 big trips every year, plus weekend getaways whenever we can. We've never had any major issues except when alcohol gets involved at social events or on vacation. I didn't see it as a pattern at first, but looking back, there were warning signs I ignored. The first incident happened about a year into our relationship. We were at his company's Christmas party, and Harold got pretty drunk. One of his co-workers was telling me about a project they were working on, and Harold suddenly appeared, put his arm around me really tight, and started making weird comments about how the guy was trying to show off for me. It was embarrassing, but I brushed it off as a one-time thing. Then last summer, we were at a music festival in Nashville. We'd been drinking at the hotel bar when this cool couple started chatting with us. They were locals and super friendly, telling us about the best places to visit. The guy worked at a popular club and offered to put us on the VIP list. Harold completely misinterpreted it and accused them of trying to lure me away. He caused such a scene that hotel security had to get involved. That night in our hotel room was terrible. Harold wouldn't stop yelling about how I was naive and didn't see how guys were always trying to hit on me. When he threatened to leave, I panicked. We were in a city we didn't know, he was drunk, and I was worried about his safety. I tried blocking the door, but he physically moved me aside to get out. Security came up because of noise complaints and threatened to call the police. After that incident, we had a serious talk. Harold apologized profusely, admitted he had overreacted, and promised it would never happen again. He said he sometimes gets insecure because his last relationship ended badly, though he's never given me details about what happened, and alcohol makes these feelings worse. I believed him because when he's sober, he's never jealous or controlling. He encourages my friendships, supports my career, and is genuinely proud of my achievements. Fast forward to last week. We were at an all-inclusive resort in Mexico, a trip we'd been planning for months. The first day was perfect. We explored the resort, relaxed on the beach, and enjoyed some casual drinks by the pool. Day 2 started great too. We joined the resort's beach party, had some cocktails, and were having an amazing time. A group of guests invited us to join their beach volleyball game. They were 2 couples and a few single friends who'd all traveled together from Canada. Everyone was friendly and fun, and I was having a blast. But then I noticed Harold's mood starting to shift. One of the guys, Mike, was chatting with me between games, asking about our trip and recommending activities at the resort since their group had been there for a week. Suddenly, Harold stormed over, grabbed my arm, and started accusing Mike of hitting on me. I tried explaining that we were just talking about the resort, but Harold wouldn't listen. He started getting loud, telling Mike to back off his girlfriend and making a huge scene on the beach. The group apologized and quickly left, even though they'd done nothing wrong. I thought we could salvage the day if we went back to our room to cool off, but that's when things got really bad. Harold started screaming about how I was flirting with Mike, how I always attract attention from other men, and how I probably enjoyed it. I kept begging him to lower his voice because we were in a hotel with thin walls, but he just got louder. He kept going on about how I was dressed. I was wearing a normal bikini and cover-up, just like every other woman at the resort, how I was laughing too much at Mike's jokes, and how I always do this to him. I was trapped in the room with him yelling for almost an hour before security finally came because of noise complaints. The next morning, we had to go to the resort manager's office like children being sent to the principal. We both had to sign papers acknowledging that one more incident would result in immediate eviction from the resort. I've never been so humiliated in my life. The rest of the vacation was tense. I was constantly worried about running into the volleyball group or having the staff judge us. My best friend Sarah has never really liked Harold. She says he gives off weird vibes when he drinks, and after the Nashville incident, she told me to be careful. But my sister Amy thinks I'm making too big a deal out of this because Harold is otherwise a great boyfriend who treats me well and has a good job. She says all couples have their issues and at least he's only like this when he's drunk. We've built a life together over the past 3 years. We have Max, we're talking about buying a house next year, and our families get along great. His mom treats me like a daughter, always including me in family events and asking when we're going to give her grandchildren. When Harold is sober, he's the man I want to spend my life with. But now I'm staying at Sarah's place, trying to figure out what to do. Harold keeps texting me saying he'll never drink again, that he'll get help, that he'll do anything to fix this. He's sent flowers to my office, and even had his mom call me to plead his case. I don't want to throw away a 3-year relationship over something that only happens when alcohol is involved, but I also don't want to spend my life worrying every time we're at a social event. I love traveling and going out with friends. I don't want to live in fear of the next incident or feel like I have to monitor his drinking. Am I overreacting? Should I give him another chance since he's only like this when he drinks? Or is this a bigger red flag than I'm willing to admit? Update 1. I wanted to give everyone an update on my situation. After staying at Sarah's place for 5 days, I decided to go back home. Harold seemed genuinely remorseful, and I wanted to believe things could change. He had already poured out all the alcohol in our apartment and even deleted his favorite drinking app where he and his friends planned their weekend bar crawls. The first few days back were okay. Harold was being super attentive, cooking dinner, taking Max for extra walks, and really trying to show he was serious about changing. He even suggested we start looking at houses again since that was our plan before the Mexico incident. I was still cautious but thought maybe we could work through this. Then yesterday happened, and everything changed. I was going through our vacation photos because there was an issue with some spa charges on our resort bill that I wanted to dispute. I connected my phone to our shared laptop to upload the photos, and that's when I noticed a folder I hadn't seen before. The folder was labeled Evidence and was hidden in a subfolder of Harold's work documents. I know I shouldn't have opened it, but something about that label made my stomach turn. What I found inside made me physically sick. There were hundreds of photos, all of me, taken without my knowledge. Photos of me talking to male co-workers at office parties, chatting with our friends' boyfriends at barbecues, even just ordering coffee from male baristas. Each photo was dated and had notes attached, laughing too much at John's jokes at office party. Touched Mark's arm while talking about his new job. Spent 15 minutes talking to Coffee Guy about his tattoos. The Mexico photos were there too. Dozens of shots of me playing volleyball, talking to Mike and the other guys from the group. Harold had been secretly photographing me the entire time, even before his blow-up. There were detailed notes about what I was wearing, how I was standing, who I was talking to. When I confronted Harold about the photos, he initially tried to deny knowing about the folder. Then he claimed it was his friend Tom who suggested he document my suspicious behavior because Tom's girlfriend had cheated on him, and he wished he'd had evidence. Finally, after I threatened to leave again, Harold broke down. He admitted he's been taking these photos for months. He said it started after his company's Christmas party last year, when he saw me laughing at his co-workers' jokes. He convinced himself I was flirting and decided to start documenting my behavior as proof. He said he knew it was wrong but couldn't stop himself because he was sure I was going to leave him for someone else eventually. I was still processing this when Sarah called me. Apparently, Harold had been messaging her nonstop for the past week. She sent me screenshots of his messages, and they're disturbing. He's been writing these long, rambling paragraphs about how much he loves me and how he needs to protect me from other men who just want to use me. He told Sarah that he has proof I've been emotionally cheating on him and asked her to help him compile more evidence. The messages to Sarah get worse. He's been describing in detail every interaction he's seen me have with other men, even things like the grocery store clerk helping me with my bags or the maintenance guy who fixed our dishwasher last month. He's created this entire narrative in his head about how these men are all trying to steal me away from him. What really shook me was when his mother called. She was crying, telling me how Harold has been struggling ever since his ex-girlfriend cheated on him 6 years ago. Apparently, he found her with his best friend at the time, and it broke him. His mom thinks this justifies his behavior, that he's just trying to protect himself from being hurt again. But here's the thing, in 3 years together, Harold never once mentioned being cheated on. He always just said his last relationship ended badly. I'm starting to wonder what else he's been hiding or twisting to suit his narrative. I packed some clothes and went to my sister Amy's place. She's completely changed her tune about Harold being a great guy after seeing the photos and messages. Even my dad, who really liked Harold and was talking about helping us with a house down payment, told me to stay away from him for a while. Harold's reaction to me leaving again has been all over the place. He switches between apologizing profusely and trying to justify his actions. This morning he sent me a 5-page email explaining how his documentation was just his way of working through his trust issues. He said I'm punishing him for being honest about his feelings and that if I really loved him, I would understand why he needed to do this. I blocked him on my phone, but he keeps creating new email addresses to contact me. He's even started reaching out to my friends on social media, telling them his side of the story and asking them to talk to me. A few of our mutual friends have stopped speaking to me because they believe I'm overreacting and should give him another chance. Right now, I'm scared and confused. The man I thought I knew, the one I lived with and planned a future with, feels like a complete stranger. I keep thinking about all those photos, all those notes, all that time he spent watching and documenting my every move. How did I not notice? How many of our happy moments were real, and how many were just him waiting to catch me doing something he could add to his evidence folder? I don't know what to do next. Part of me wants to confront him about everything, to understand why he did this, but another part of me is afraid to be anywhere near him right now. Amy thinks I should file a police report about the photos, but I'm not sure if what he did was technically illegal since most of them were taken in public places. Has anyone else dealt with something like this? How do you move forward when you discover the person you trusted most has been secretly documenting your every move? Update 2: A lot has happened since my last update, and I discovered things that made me realize this situation is much worse than I thought. Harold's best friend Tom reached out to me last week through Sarah because he was worried about Harold's behavior and felt guilty about keeping quiet all this time. Tom and I met at a coffee shop far from my usual places because I was worried Harold might show up if he saw me somewhere familiar. What Tom told me completely changed everything I thought I knew about Harold. The story about Harold's ex-girlfriend cheating on him was a complete lie. According to Tom, Harold has been telling that story to every girlfriend he's had for the past 6 years, using it to justify his controlling behavior. In reality, his ex left him because he became obsessively jealous and would follow her around, just like he did with me. Tom showed me old messages between him and Harold's ex from back then. She had reached out to Tom for help because Harold was showing up at her workplace, claiming she was flirting with coworkers. He would take photos of her talking to male colleagues and create huge scenes at her office events. It was exactly the same pattern. What's worse is that Tom revealed Harold has done this with every girlfriend he's had since then. He starts off being the perfect boyfriend, then slowly becomes more controlling, especially when drinking. The alcohol isn't really the root problem, it's just his excuse for behaving this way. He uses drinking as a cover to act on his controlling impulses and then blames everything on the alcohol so people will forgive him. When Tom finished telling me everything, I felt sick. All those times Harold apologized and blamed the alcohol, all those promises to stop drinking, it was all just part of his pattern. I decided to confront Harold about this through email, thinking it would be safer than meeting in person. His response was terrifying. At first, he tried to claim Tom was lying because he was jealous of our relationship. Then he sent a barrage of emails calling me naive and stupid for believing Tom over him. Finally, around midnight, he showed up at Amy's house completely drunk. He started banging on the door, yelling that he needed to talk to me and explain his side of the story. Amy told him to leave or she'd call the police, but he wouldn't budge. He got in his car and just sat there, parked outside her house, calling and texting me nonstop. The messages kept getting more erratic, switching between begging me to listen to him and accusing me of ruining his life. We ended up having to call the police to make him leave. The officers found empty beer cans in his car and arrested him for public intoxication. He spent the night in jail, and I thought maybe that would be a wake-up call for him. Instead, he started posting things on social media about how I was making him look crazy and ignoring his side of the story. He even posted some of the photos he'd taken of me, trying to prove to everyone that I was the one who had been inappropriate with other men. When I blocked him on social media, he found my LinkedIn profile and started sending me messages there. He even contacted my workplace through their general email, claiming he needed to reach me about an urgent family matter. Thankfully, my boss was understanding when I explained the situation. His family is still trying to defend him. His sister called me yesterday, crying about how I'm ruining Harold's life by getting the police involved. She said I should have just talked things out with him instead of escalating the situation. She even tried to guilt-trip me by saying Harold might lose his job if people find out about his arrest. I filed for a restraining order. The police were actually very helpful when I showed them everything, the photos he took, the messages he sent to Sarah, the footage from Amy's security camera of him refusing to leave her property, and the threatening emails. They said his behavior shows a clear pattern of escalation that needs to be addressed. Tom has been really supportive through all this. He said he regrets not speaking up sooner about Harold's pattern of behavior with his previous girlfriends. He's agreed to provide a statement for the restraining order about Harold's history of stalking and controlling behavior. I'm staying with different friends each week because I'm worried about Harold finding out where I am. He still knows where Amy lives, and I don't want to put her at risk again. I've changed my phone number and created new email accounts, but I'm still scared every time I leave the house. Update 3: I wanted to give a final update on my situation. The restraining order was granted for 1 year, and I haven't had any direct contact with Harold for 2 months now. The judge took one look at all the evidence, the photos, messages, police report from the night at Amy's, and Tom's statement, and granted the order immediately. I moved to a different apartment complex across town. It's actually nicer than our old place, and Max seems to love having a dog park right outside. My company was incredibly supportive through all of this. They let me work remotely for the first month and installed extra security cameras at the office. They even hired a security guard for the parking lot after Harold tried to leave notes on my car. Tom told me last week that Harold finally moved to another state for what he's calling a fresh start. Apparently, he lost his job after showing up drunk multiple times and making scenes at work about how I ruined his life. His family is still trying to contact me through mutual friends, claiming he's getting help and I should give him another chance. I've blocked all of them. Looking back, I can't believe I almost convinced myself that his behavior was just about alcohol. The signs were there from the beginning, the possessiveness, the constant need to know where I was and who I was talking to, the way he would test my loyalty by creating situations to see how I'd react. Sarah and Amy have been my rocks through all of this. We started a weekly movie night tradition that has turned into a full-on girls' night with dinner and games. It helps keep me busy and reminds me that I have people who genuinely care about me without trying to control me. The hardest part was dealing with our shared friends. Many of them took Harold's side initially, believing his story about how I overreacted to his concern about other men. But after he started showing up at their homes looking for me and drunk calling them at 3 a.m., most of them realized I wasn't exaggerating. I got Max in the breakup, which was a huge relief. Harold tried to claim he should get shared custody of our dog, but since I was the one who adopted Max and paid all his vet bills, there wasn't much he could do. Max has been the best therapy I could ask for. His unconditional love and need for walks have kept me going on my darkest days. I'm not ready to date again yet, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I joined a local hiking group and started taking self-defense classes, not because I'm afraid of Harold, but because both activities help me feel stronger and more in control. I've met some great people through both groups who know nothing about my past drama, and it's refreshing to just be myself without all that baggage. Tom still keeps me updated about Harold when he thinks I need to know something important, but otherwise, I'm trying to put that chapter of my life behind me. I learned valuable lessons about recognizing controlling behavior and not making excuses for someone's toxic actions just because you love them. To everyone who commented on my original post telling me to leave, thank you. You saw what I was trying so hard to ignore. Sometimes it takes complete strangers on the internet to make you realize you're not crazy or overreacting. I'm in a much better place now, both mentally and physically, and I'm looking forward to whatever comes next. I'm ready to close this chapter of my life and focus on building a new one where I don't have to constantly watch what I say or do, or worry about someone documenting my every move. I've found my freedom again, and I'm never letting anyone take that away from me.